Hey there, Capricorn. Let's take a look and see what 2025 has in store for you astrologically. So, this is definitely going to be a year of solidifying the foundations of who you are, renewing commitments, digging into the past to gain a deeper understanding of who you are, where you've come from, where you've been, and where you want to go. And who you are becoming. That is the theme of Capricorn now that Pluto has finally left your sign after, you know, what was 14 years. It was a long time. It was 2008 until just this past, the end of 2024, this planet of reinvention that's gone through your sign. And it really has you looking and focusing this year on reinventing yourself. So let's kind of start with I think just to start the year, right? All of us are kind of under this weird energy of a Mars retrograde. Mars is our the engine that makes us go. It gives us our energy, it gives us our determination, it gives us our ability to act. And so when it goes retrograde, this happens once every couple of years, it goes backwards. And then all of a sudden, when we don't have the energy levels, we don't have that determination, we don't have that drive. And so it started December 6th and then it ends February 23rd. So everybody is kind of feeling that. And especially for you, where that is happening is let's see here. So that's going to be the eighth house. So it's retrograding in the eighth house, really looking to the past in terms of the debts that you owe, all of these things. But then as it backs into this retrograde phase, it's spending a lot more time in Cancer than it is in Leo. And that area of your chart is actually the seventh house of relationships, partnerships, marriage, co-workers, all these things. And so there is just a lot of this energy where the Mars retrograde is asking, how are you asserting yourself in these matters? How are you acting in relationship? How are you acting towards your debts and paying them off? How are you acting and moving your feet forward to make change? That's what the retrograde is asking. And then when it goes direct on the 23rd, the energy levels return and we feel ready to tackle it a little bit better. But if you've been feeling that, I'm just telling you that's probably why. But so that just kind of is a starting point to the year. But let's look at your house of money and finances. How is this working for you? Now, we just talked about how Pluto has done quite a number on you since 2008, going through really kind of tearing up the foundation and the fabric of your life, all the things that you knew to be your security and your comfort, they've been flipped upside down. And you've really gotten to a place now where you're understanding that you have the power to create the new foundations under your feet. You have a better understanding of that. And this is going to be a year of discovering what the landscape of that looks like. Now that Pluto was done moving through that first house of yours, it's moving into the second house. That's where it's going to be for the next 20 years. And as it does that, this is giving you the opportunity to shift any habits, attitudes, beliefs, behaviors around money. It's going to give you that ability to remove them. These are the things, those habits, those attitudes, the behaviors, the beliefs that are actually blocking you from securing the abundance that you're looking for. Now, remember, we said that Mars retrograde going through the eighth house, which is another financial sector of yours, has you looking to your debts and the actions that you take to accrue them. Now, the eighth house is also our partner's money and the money that they make as well. So that may also bring in the debts that are there. Regardless, we're looking at all of them. And Pluto is here to transform that. It wants to create financial freedom and financial abundance for you. Now, this isn't an overnight process. This takes a minute, but just because it takes 20 years for something to transit a house doesn't mean it's going to be 20 years before you have money. You could have that at the very beginning of this. It's all a matter of how you're structuring it and how much you believe that you're deserving of that as well. And so that's where the awareness of the beliefs, behaviors, and thoughts around money are really surfacing this year, now that you're getting an idea of what happens as Pluto moves into that second house of finances. Now, back to that Mars retrograde, once it goes direct, now that's going to be, around once it's direct and it gets back into Leo, that's going to be April 18th to June 17th. This is definitely going to be a time for you to get back on top of debt. This is time for you to make those wise long-term plans on how you're going to chip away at that, what you need to do in order to achieve it. Any missed opportunities regarding money are going to be resurfacing as well. Opportunities from 2023 you may find resurface in that time frame between April and June as well. So that's really positive energy. Now let's move on to the house of home and family, because I know for a lot of my Capricorn friends, this was the area that got hit the most through this process of Pluto moving through Capricorn. It changes the foundations under our feet. And when you think of it from a global perspective, or a national perspective, us having Pluto going through Capricorn, Capricorn are the foundations. These are the corporations that run us. These are the organizations that support us. Look at all the massive transformation that's just appeared in the past couple of years about where there's holes in these areas. And Pluto is asking us to reform that as it moves into Aquarius, into a new way of being and building the new structures that are more fitting for where we are now as a country. It's doing the same thing to you on a personal level, but it's not corporations that are running you, right? It's family, and it's those family dynamics. And so I've seen a lot of Capricorns that have lost family as a result in this time frame. I've seen a lot of people that have gone through multiple losses as a result. It's also about releasing those old beliefs and ideas and traumas that have been carried over from one generation to the next. So this is definitely something where now we have this home and family sector that is going to be going through a little bit of change. Saturn and Neptune are going to be moving into this house for you. Now, when I say moving into this house, I mean they, how do I say this? So they take a long time, right, to move around the sun. Neptune takes 220 years, where Saturn takes 30 years to go around the sun. It's a long time, right? It takes a long time. So when they come back to a house, it's a pretty major thing. When they're moving into a new sign, it's a pretty major deal. And they're moving into Aries. This is a sign of new energy from the endings that we have incurred. Now, Saturn is asking us to create, that's your ruling planet as a Capricorn. It's asking us to come up with what we want our long-term goals to be. It's asking for us to plan. It's asking for us to work in tandem with Neptune, the other planet that's moving into Aries. It's asking for us to create what we want our future to look like. Now, these guys don't move in 100% this year. They're just dipping their toes in for a hot minute, then they're leaving again by November. But they're giving you a preview from July to November of what that actually looks like. The dreaming your future into being. Because sometimes when we dream, we can make it happen a whole lot quicker, especially when we have a belief in ourselves and belief that the universe is going to be bringing it through for us. But also when we have a tangible plan, and you know that that's coming for you, right? You know that this ability, you're a planner anyway, right? You're the planners of this zodiac up in here with your lists and all your to-dos. This is where you're really going to be getting the juice of it. If you've been starting to write these things down, what your main goals are, this is a time frame when Saturn and Neptune are going to be working with you, right? Restructuring what family looks like, restructuring what home looks like, who's living in that home, how the dynamic works in that family, establishing stability where there may have been lack of that stability, especially in the past couple of years. Really, especially since Saturn came through your sign back in 2020, it's bringing security for you. It's bringing security for your family, having Saturn moving into that. You might find that you're purchasing a new home, you're purchasing another home, you're purchasing a vacation home, you're purchasing a rental home, whatever it might be. Saturn going through our fourth house has a way of making us secure another place. Maybe you're downsizing. Maybe you're finding that family, Saturn going through there, it matures us. Your family is moving on. Your children have gotten older. They're moving out. Now you don't need all this space. Maybe that's something that this year or the next 2.5 years as Saturn goes through helps you to realize. But the Neptune is also moving in there. Keep that in mind. Neptune takes dramatically longer to go around the wheel. So Neptune is going to be in your fourth house for 14 years. It started in 2011 is when it was going through Pisces and that third house of yours. And Pisces or Neptune likes for us to make believe in our mind and imagine what it is we want life to look like. And so you have been working on this process of it going through the third house since 2011, really getting in touch with your mystical side, understanding what your higher self is telling you, what your guides are telling you, what the universe is telling you through its signs and its symbols. And now that it's leaving there, it wants to go into the fourth house to help you dream and manifest into being the dream home life that you want. Absolutely. So, well, clarity may not be this year on either of those things. Like I said, this is more of a year of discovering, looking what the universe is laying down in these time frames, especially between July and November, and then really get moving forward in 2026. I definitely see that. But but that's that one. So now for love, if we're looking at relationships, remember I said before that Mars retrograde, especially right now where it's at, is more so. No, that's a lie. Well, yeah, now it's, yeah, okay. So as it's moving through Cancer, it's going through that seventh house of yours. Marriage, partnerships, relationship, looking back to how you're acting in relationship, looking to see that balance between what your needs are and if those needs are being met. Those are the things that it really has you getting to the bottom of the reoccurring issues that you find in relationship. It's time to explore that emotional landscape between you and your partner, and discussing what your needs are. This is a great time to do it during that retrograde. And then being aware to act on them after the retrograde ends. Once we get rocking and rolling again, I mean the retrograde ends in February, but by the time it gets back to Leo and stuff, we're more concerned about the Cancer part, but I'm looking at it from all these different angles. I feel like it may even be April. Maybe that's when you start to want to implement these changes, and that's what Mars likes us to do, is to act on them. Because when you act on these new beliefs, especially when you've discussed your needs, you've said, this is what I would like to see happen, this is a way that we can make this happen. That is what, and then they do the same for you, right? They explain what their needs are. That's what's going to strengthen that connection. That's what's going to foster intimacy. And Mars is the planet of some passionate intimacy. So if you find that that's been lacking, this is where that is going to be happening here, right? Is looking to the past, seeing what actions have happened, bringing that to the surface, and then making a plan moving forward, right? Because then right after that, right? Remember, we're talking about Cancer here. We got another amazing cycle that's happening for you, and that is Jupiter moving into that seventh house that Cancer rules. Seventh house again, marriage, partnerships, relationships, co-workers, those one-on-one relationships that we have. Now, this is a 12-year cycle that it takes for Jupiter to go around that sun. And as it comes in, it's been 12 years since the planet of relationships has been in there. It wants to bring us luck, opportunity, expansion, where we don't even see a way how problems can fix themselves. Jupiter magically makes that happen. It just takes care of it for us. And so as it goes through there, this is going to be starting in June and then it goes until June of 26. It's going to be focusing on really strengthening those connections for you in that relationship house. This is growing those relationships. It's expanding your relationships. It's giving you a greater understanding of your home life and your family life with your partner and what needs to happen to really help you grow together and have your emotional needs met. So this is always a wonderful time when Jupiter goes through. If you don't have a partner, let's say you're a Capricorn without a partner, this 12-year cycle of Jupiter coming back around again, think about relationship wise where you were 12 years ago. And I always say history don't repeat itself, it just rhymes, you know. So it's not going to be the same exact thing that happens again. But this is going to be an opportunity where what type of issues were you working on internally? What is it that needs to be done for you to magnetically attract the type of person that you want and who's fitting for who you are now? You've gone through a complete transformation. So your relationships are going to go through a transformation as well too, and the type of partner that you attract. And so that's a focus right now. Jupiter going through over the next year is going to bring in opportunities for you to meet somebody. With it being exiting Gemini right now, could very well be internet based. You meet this person online, you know, as it moves into Cancer and actually into that seventh house of yours. Maybe you meet this person at a family function or a work function or something. Whatever it is, Jupiter likes to bring us that soulmate type of connection because we all deserve it, right? So now we look at that house of happiness and kids. That's the next one, that fifth house. And Uranus is leaving this house. Thank the good Lord. It's been there since 2018. Uranus has a very unpredictable quality to it. So, um, where there may have been some like unexpected ups and downs with kids, especially if they're adult kids, this is where it's leaving, and it's really giving them the push to be free and independent because that's what Uranus likes is freedom and independence. And as it does that, it frees up the ability for you to focus on your needs and what you need to be happy, right? It's reshaping what brings you joy and what brings you happiness. So that's an amazing thing right there. And then as Uranus leaves there and it goes into the sixth house, which you'll be finding in the next year as well, that's a house of what you do to make money day to day. So this is a work area that's under this reinvention period as well, too, in terms of life purpose. What is it that I'm here to do? Why am I here? Uranus is going to help you find something that's true and authentic. So you'll get a preview of that this year as well. Now, Saturn and Neptune, like I said, leaving that third house, um, with that as well, the third house and the ninth house, because they have these two major players leaving, finally, they've done all the restructuring of how your conscious mind works, how your subconscious mind works, how you're connecting with the universe, and all of these things. We also have the eclipses this year that are happening in that third house, ninth house dynamic for you. And this might be where you find in this coming year that you are taking on some new learning. Maybe you want to go back to school. Maybe you want to take some seminars, some classes online, get some certification, something like that. You're ready to expand yourself. These eclipses say, what isn't working anymore? And what do I need to do different to bring new energy into my life? Maybe that's it, right? Finishing up. Maybe you started to go back for your degree and you never finished it. Maybe you decide you're going to do that. You're going to go back and finish it. Um, these eclipses also mean self-development. So with that being in the ninth house, you may find that you are really, really strengthening that, developing yourself through traveling, exploring new areas, exploring new lands, that really increases your insights on where you want to go and who you want to be. Absolutely moving forward. Now, when we look to areas of time to manifest, to release, we look to the moon cycles. And we can do that anytime in the month, right? You can use any new moon to manifest. You can use any full moon to release anything you need, but certain ones are going to be stronger than others. And so your Capricorn moons are going to be the strongest time for you to manifest and for you to release. Now, the manifestation time frame, that's going to be, interestingly enough, it's not even 2025. It's the one in 2024. New Year's Eve-ish, right? We're going to be under the black new moon. That's a rare moon where we have two new moons in the course of 30 days. And that's happening this year. So there is no new moon for you in 2025. And when that happens, I say it's because you're starting out the year under the energy of I can manifest whatever I want. So take it as that resonates, right? Whenever you need to manifest, you have the ability to do it extra strong this year. Now, the Capricorn full moon, where you need to release things, that's going to be July 10th. So now we're going to move on to birthdays. If your birthday's not in here, it doesn't mean that nothing's going to be happening for you. You might find that you resonate with one, even if your birthday's not in this. I say take what resonates, leave what doesn't, right? That's how that works. That's how all things spiritual work, right? So that's we're going to get to that, but this is how astrologically certain things are lining up for certain birth dates. Now, before we get into that, if you want to know how all of these things I talked about are actually impacting you in your chart, there's a link below. You can set up a reading with me. We can go through and look bit by bit and see how Jupiter's growing and expanding you, where Uranus is liberating you, all these things. We can look and see how it's impacting your specific chart. Everything I said is just for Capricorn in general as a whole. But for specific birthdays, we have December 22nd to December 24th, Neptune in Aries. This is going to be when it moves from Pisces into Aries. So the newly minted Neptune squaring your sun. This is all new energy. This is that push for individuality. That's that push for new things. And Neptune, as it's doing this, is asking you to surrender and release areas of yourself that just aren't fitting anymore. Anything into the unknown. You're just releasing that, and you're trusting in the process, leaning into your mystical side, whether that's through meditation, whatever it might be that helps you to connect with your higher self and with your spirit guides. This is going to be a year where that's very, very vital in getting the answers you need, because the answers are coming from within. If your birthday is December 22nd through January 15th, Jupiter is opposing your sun. And even when Jupiter makes a tough aspect, like an opposition or a square, it's still good. Jupiter is a beneficial planet. So anytime it's making a connection to you, it's going to be beneficial. And this one is absolutely the case too. Opportunities to grow and expand are just, they're going to be a lot for you this year. They're going to be abundant, and you are going to be abundant as a result. You are going to have a bit of a Midas touch, right? And whatever it is that you're doing, even with a little bit of minimal effort, you're going to make a lot of headway. If your birthday is just January 20th, if you are just January 20th, Pluto out there, the planet of absolute transformation, the one that's done all this work over the past, 14 years here, or more than that, 15 years, reinventing who you are, is aligned with your sun. It's leaving this area. This is where that digging deep and realizing your personal power and the potential that you have within you, it begins to emerge, right? You're facing fears that help you discover talents that you may not have realized you have, skills that may be hidden that you didn't realize you have, things that are abilities that were dormant that you weren't able to focus on because you were needed for other areas. Now they're coming to light. So you're gaining insight on who you are and who you're truly meant to be. I think that's pretty awesome. So these are all the things that are happening just in general. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and have a blessed 2025.